Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy midweek motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek motivation.
Let's go!
One, two, three, four.
And we're on.
All right, well, apparently it's been a while since we've done this. We're just sitting here talking about Michigan, and I looked up and was like, oh, did it finish? Did it go? Did it do its thing? It did. We weren't paying attention.
We don't have the songs in our ears anymore.
That's true. I could probably fix that. There's probably a way to do that. I don't know. One way or another. Well, hey.
We're here.
We're back. And we made it to 2025. Right? So this show is what? 3 years old?
Yes.
I think we're in our third year. Right? So who'd have thought we'd make it to 2025?
So can I officially say I'm the only one who's been on the show all 3 years?
You might be. Yeah, well,
Right
you
on.
are. It's true.
Right on.
That's pretty
Man.
awesome. Way to go.
I'm proud of myself.
There's no medal. There's no medal. There's no. There's nothing for it. You don't get anything for it.
Hey,
Other than you get to be here.
pat on the back. I'll do it. Good stuff.
Well, hey, welcome to Midweek Motivation, real conversations with real people about a very real God. If you're not already a part of our group, you can text the word motivate to 540-900-3838. That'll put you in our group. If you're in that group, then you'll get notifications and reminders about when the show's about to start and things. If you can't remember, every Wednesday at noon.
Every Wednesday at noon.
Every Wednesday
Just
at noon.
about.
Easy enough. And I'm going to see how few times I can cough during the show. Because I'm just going to let you in on a secret. I don't miss church for being sick. Okay. And here's I get sick, right? But not like sick that I can't do things, right? So it's sick enough that like I feel bad.
Yeah.
I could push through and do most things.
Same.
It's very rare that I've been like debilitatingly sick.
Same way.
And I wasn't that sick, right? But my wife didn't let me come to church Sunday because she thought I was going to share my germs with everybody. And can I tell you one of the worst things that COVID did is it ruined it and made everybody so much more afraid of other people sharing their germs.
Well, my thought on this is...
Rightfully so in some cases, right?
I'm not down putting any of it, but my thought on it is if there's no germs, you just, as soon as one germ comes, you're just going to get sick.
Right?
So,
it's probably good I wasn't here. She's probably right. I probably would have got somebody sick.
Well, you're coughing too up there in the booth. Everybody would have been...
It would have been a little distracting.
Somebody tell that guy to be quiet.
Well, it's funny because I was here. I started feeling bad the day before while I was up on the lift, hanging balloons up in the rafters.
Yeah, I heard all about that.
It was interesting. Look, let's just say it was a good learning experience, right? Sometimes things work great and go exactly the way you planned them, and then sometimes they don't, like at all. So we had these 4 balloon nets. Have you ever messed with balloon nets?
No.
All right. If you've never messed with balloon nets, okay, here's my advice. Don't. Just don't.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to drop a bunch of balloons, get a bunch of people and just throw
truck
them. Right? That's going to be a better experience. Don't do balloon nets.
So our life group chat was blowing up on Sunday. And so we were kind of talking about it before. I was in Michigan, and we were planning on coming back on leaving there Sunday and taking 2 days to drive back. 3 small kids, 11 hours in the car. Not the funnest.
It's a
thing
long
in the
drive.
world. But then we heard, it was snowing the whole time in Michigan. We were up there. It was beautiful. Their roads are a whole lot better than ours. Like, it doesn't stick to their roads much at all.
And the roads are straight. And flat.
We went to the funeral, and we decided to leave right after that to try to beat all this ice that was coming home. So we left at I don't know, 2 o'clock from Michigan, and drove straight back and got back at 12:30 on Sunday morning. And I just couldn't bring it to myself to get up and come to, like, I was exhausted.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot. People don't realize unless you've made a drive like that, you don't realize what it takes out of you driving. And it's always the weirdest feeling. Like, I'm tired because I sat still and didn't move anything but my arms for hours.
Part of it was a lot of white knuckling for me because we were coming through, some weather and stuff like that. Nothing, seriously, but, with 3 kids in the car, you just want to make sure you're doing everything right. And so, I was white knuckling the whole time. Oh, yeah. But, and then I wake up Sunday and the group text was going crazy about these balloons popping and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, thankfully I wasn't there, because in a security business, when you start hearing stuff like that, could have been a quick draw.
Yeah. So we did warn the security team. We did warn the safety teams that, hey guys, look, they're balloons. It's okay. Which we didn't warn them all the last time we shot something like confetti cannons.
Yeah.
I think we warned most everybody, but I think a couple of guys didn't get the message.
And never mind.
Did it set off some instincts in you?
Well, my hand went somewhere, and then I realized what was going on, and I quickly retreated, and So
well, the good news is I don't think I'll be doing balloons again anytime soon, because it was not fun, and we realized about the time we finished putting them up there on Saturday, they were popping, just sitting in the nets. We got them up there, and we realized, like, these are definitely going to pop during service on Sunday. There's no way in like 4 hours with people in here they're not going to pop.
Did any pop?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple. Well, so I wasn't here. I was at home watching online, and I kept listening, hoping that I could hear a balloon pop or something. And I couldn't hear any pop online, but apparently a couple popped during worship. So they weren't super noticeable.
Right.
And then 1 or 2 popped during the message each hour too. But, it is what it is. I guess after the first one, hopefully people look up and figure it out.
So my question is, who blew up all the balloons?
So Jeanette had a team, mostly her kids, and then Justin and Kelly Hasis were here with their kids. And they had compressors, and they filled them up, filled up a whole bunch of balloons. It was 1,000 balloons.
So there were no lung filled up balloons?
I don't think so.
Okay, that would have been...
I did not take part in that.
Thought maybe like, hey, John... We got a job for you. 1,000 balloons.
Yeah, it was good fun. It would have been great. It was kind of our way of, we wanted to celebrate the new year and what God's going to do in 2025, and what better? Who doesn't love balloons, right? Well, hey, I don't love balloons anymore either. But that's over now. I will tell you that was the better version of our first idea. Right, and I'll just tell you the first idea. We were going to actually have, we were going to get a giant inflatable ball. Jeanette found this ball. It was like 9 feet in diameter. It was massive.
Oh, wow.
It was like this, it's hard to even call it a ball. It was a sphere. It was like, it looked real metallic, but it's inflatable. It was like 9 feet in diameter. It was crazy huge. And we were going to do like a New York Times like ball drop. And then the more we kept thinking about it, I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to rig that. I don't know how to make this make sense for why.
Where are we going to store it?
I don't know what we're going to do with it. And then it was insane for shipping. I think it was like $300 to ship it.
Oh,
like,
wow.
We're not doing that. That's ridiculous. So I'm glad we didn't do that, because it would have ended up being hokey. The balloons, had they all fallen, would have been more fun. But, it didn't work. And that's all right. Which I texted Kelly, our director, that Sunday morning. So I'm sitting at home and, texting our tech team little things and, telling them things that look great and all that stuff. And Josh and Kelly had to pull the balloons. And they were texting me saying, hey, don't make us look like fools. And I said, look, guys, it's 50-50.
You're on your own.
And I will tell you, I said it's a 50-50 shot that they're going to work. So there were 4 balloon nets, right? One of them went first service. One of them went second service. As soon as I saw the second one go, I said, what'd I tell you? 50-50. You got half of the balloons in both services.
So I'm starting to weed through the truth of you not coming to church on Sunday here. I think Darren didn't want to be responsible for these balloons falling or not falling.
Look, it was going to be inescapable whether I was here or not. And I actually came. I was here bright and early at like 6 a.m. setting stuff up because that's all that my wife would let me do. She wouldn't let me stay. But it's probably better. She's probably right. It's good to not share your germs with all the 1,000 people
but
that were
on
here.
Monday morning staff meeting, you can say, hey, that wasn't me. I wasn't here.
I did not pull the balloons. Yeah, they're turns out balloon nets are more complicated than I thought they were. But Justin and I were looking at them for probably 20 minutes, just trying to look at these little knots and see, like, yeah, if you pull that, I think it looked right. But apparently it wasn't. So, but that's what it is.
Hey,
it is what it is.
50-50.
Sometimes you try stuff. 50-50 is not bad.
We know what to not do next year.
Right? Yeah, I'll take that. If you only chop 50% of my arms off, like
Confetti
that's better than
confetti cannons.
No, confetti
everywhere.
cannons are banned. At least the confetti. We'll shoot the confetti cannons again, okay? Just be warned. There will be confetti cannons again at some point, but there won't be confetti in them. It'll be streamers. Because that confetti took too many hours to clean up with the shop vac, and that's just not worth it.
No.
Not worth it at all. I had notes for something. I made that was actually...
Oh, we got a show going on. I forgot all about that.
I forgot we were doing a show. But Sunday was a great day. Really cool. I will tell you 2 things I wanted to say. One, shout out to our tech team because I've been a lot of places where like I've been kind of the one guy that a lot of smaller places where I'm the one guy that kind of knows everything. And there's a little bit of truth to that here. But what's so great is right now I'm not the only guy that knows things, right? So we have so many key volunteers that are now teaching other volunteers, right, how to run different positions and things. And I was able to come in, set things up, and then leave. And then I don't know if anybody was here. If you noticed, things didn't go right, but things went right. Like there was nothing I heard about, nothing I saw online that was like, oh, you messed that up. It was a fantastic day. And it feels good as a leader when you can just step back and take your hands off things and, have especially volunteers run things and have things go well. And they ran into a couple of problems, but they were able to fix them. And that's not always been the case in my life in all the places I've been.
We have an absolutely fabulous tech team here.
Fantastic. I love
I'm
them to death.
Technically part of the tech team.
You are.
But when I have to do techie stuff, I call Darren, I call Carly, and I say, like, okay, how do I turn this on? They're like, that button that says on? Hit it. I'm like, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Well, we all got lots of skills, right?
I'm one of those guys that knows a little bit about a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But not a lot about, a single thing.
That's the best kind of person to be. That's how I like to be. A couple things I want to tell you, too. One, we have updated our website. Along with that, we've updated our app. There's a whole lot of cool things there. If you have an Android phone, your app might not be updated and might be having some issues because Google doesn't like us.
Well, if you have an Android phone, get with the time. Come on, guys.
Hey, I'm not going to be the Android hater. All right, I just will say Apple. I'm not going to hate on the Android users. I will hate on Google. Because Apple accepted our new app with no problems. Google, on the other hand, Google, thanks for letting us broadcast this on your platform, but get with it. You're killing us. So the new app, hopefully on Google Play and Android, will be available soon. One of the coolest things that's coming with that, I'm just going to break the news right here.
Do we have a breaking news thing to go across the screen?
I should make one of those. That would be cool. We could do that. One of the coolest things that comes with this new app is not only a mobile app, but also a TV app. So if you have Apple TV, Roku, Google TV, Fire TV, all those things, you can actually download the Parkway app. I don't think it's available quite yet on anything other than Apple TV, maybe Roku. I haven't checked yet. But you'll be able to watch old messages there. There's some old worship videos in there. Lots of cool stuff. So,
can you watch Midweek Motivation?
You can watch Midweek Motivation.
Beautiful. Right
there on your big screen in your living room. So, be watching for all those kinds of things. Those are constantly changing always updating and all that stuff. But
Are we going to lose viewers if we get on a big screen? I think we're much better off on a small screen.
that's true. Well, I think we're better in small doses. I don't know about
Could be.
I don't know about if it matters what kind of screen we're on. Definitely better in small doses. I will say a couple other things coming up. I've been up since 4:30 this morning for the second day in a row because we are in the midst of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. So today is day 3. Yeah, day 3, starting to run together. Monday we met together digitally,
Yep.
right over a Zoom call, which was a real neat experience. It was we wanted to be in person, but couldn't pull it off with the weather. The mountain was just covered in ice, so we decided it wasn't safe to pull that off. So we met digitally, and it was great. It was a great time of prayer to be together, as much as we can. And then Tuesday and today we got to meet together right here in the house. Just a real cool experience. I think Courtney and I thought one of the cool things we got to see this morning was, so schools are closed, and there's this row of like 5 or 6 high school students that could have slept
Awesome.
in.
Yeah.
That they weren't doing anything. They weren't there serving. They had no reason to be there other than like, we want to be here to pray. And I mean, maybe their parents made them, but knowing our students, especially our high schoolers, they wanted to be there.
I don't think that's the case, man.
No.
On second service on Sundays, man, you look over there, and the most, I think, worshiping crowd that we have is our youth. And it's such a cool thing to see, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, just kind of lets me know that, hey, our church is in good hands for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
Because of these young kids over here. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, and I've said it before, but if you're concerned about the next generation, the direction of the church and the direction of the world in the next generation, just come to church, especially at 10:30, and you're going to feel a whole lot better about it. Like, it's going to be
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
And it really will be. I mean, think about what the church has endured throughout, thousands and thousands of years.
Correct.
Like, where we're at right now is not the worst thing the church has ever faced, right? Like, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's not great,
Yeah.
but it's not the worst thing. Like, I think we'll be all right. So 21 days of prayer and fasting is still happening every morning, 6 a.m. right here in the house. Saturday, 6 a.m. Sunday, luckily we're not doing 6 a.m. Sunday, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Which is very good because I wasn't sure how I was going to get stuff done if I had to do another service on Sunday morning. We'll see. But yeah, so you can always join us. If you can't join us in person, if you can't make it, if you got to work, get kids to school, all those kinds of things, there's lots of people in that situation. Just during that time, just pray along with us.
Yeah.
The prayer focus is out there. You can go to parkroanoke.com/21 days. There's a whole prayer guide, prayer focus for each day. Different prayer resources. You can jump in and just pray, on your own during that time or at some point during the day. So you can join with us in prayer. Good news is prayer still works when you're not in the same room with other people.
Absolutely.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a magical thing. So make sure you join us.
Breaking news.
Right? Dun, dun, dun. Make sure you join us for 21 days of prayer and fasting. New Friends Party's coming up on the 19th. Always a good time. I haven't heard what the food is, but it's always delicious.
Yeah.
So if you're new or kind of new or you feel new or you want to feel new, you should come to New Friends Party on the 19th.
One thing I can say about Parkway is that we never disappoint when it comes to the food.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we take seriously is the food.
Right?
That's probably 3rd or 4th on our list. Jesus, and then food's like 3rd or 4th down.
Was it Gary Chapman that wrote that Love Languages book? I think it was him. I think I'm waiting for him to update his book with food as a love language.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it fits in there,
Food
but
is definitely my love language.
you know what I told somebody one day? I told him pizza was my love language because I think it was Austin brought me pizza, and I was hungry, and I love pizza.
I love pizza too, but I'd say 4th or 5th down.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a hamburger guy, steak guy.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Wings, brisket, pulled pork.
You know what we need
Haven't
to do
had
one
lunch
day?
yet.
I haven't either. We need to. Speaking of fasting, we need to have a wing contest. We need to get wings from different places, and we need to rank them. and we need to see where the best wings are actually from.
I think I'm.
I might need to invite Dustin to that.
So, in order for me to be able to do that, because I'm a little partial, because I've eaten wings probably at any place that sells wings and run it, and I would have to not know where they came from at first, and see if, get all the preconceived notions out of my head.
Right.
And I mean, there's a couple things. Wings have to be meaty. You gotta have the meaty wings.
Yeah.
And
they can't be
flavor,
dry.
the sauce. Yeah,
I can't stand dry wings. I'll tell you the best wings I've ever had. And I'm not a wing connoisseur. I like wings, but I'm not like the super. I'll eat basically anything, right?
I'm an amateur connoisseur. I don't know what I was going to say. I'm an amateur connoisseur of wings.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Not professional.
The best wings I've ever had, right? Now they might have just been lucky, right? Was from Bull and Bones in Christiansburg. The best wings I've ever had, right? There's probably better wings out there. That's all right. But I'll tell you, a shout out to Bull and Bones in Christiansburg. Best wings I've ever had. It was a great time. So if you think of a good place, where we need to go get some wings from, let us know, because we will go eat those wings.
Best sauce, I think, would be Top Dog sauce at Top Dogs.
I've been to Top Dogs. I don't know if I've ever.
They have
had
a
the
Top Dog sauce, and it is fabulous.
And
Their
I've been there with
wings
Dustin.
are,
I'm sure he's made me try it.
they need to get a little bit better selection of wings, I think. But all in all, pretty good.
Well, there's other stuff coming up, but we got to get to. We talked about food for too long, so we're going to get to the show. But I guess this is the show.
It is.
This is half the fun. Speaking of fun, we got
we
a little
make
game.
notes and we never get to them.
We get to some of them. We just don't get to. We always get to the important ones.
That's right.
So sometimes I miss the slightly less important ones. All right, so we're going to see if this works. I looked up, right, what are the top 10 New Year's resolutions,
Okay.
right? And I'm going to see if you and y'all at home can put them in order, right? So I'm going to put up a slide.
Okay, so they're not in order.
They are
That
not in
helps.
order.
I think I know number one.
They're not in order. So I'm going to put up 10 items, 10 resolutions, okay? And then you have to try to rank them, okay? Now,
And this is like,
see if that works.
this is over like a poll type thing, so more
sure,
people
something
say
like
this.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, let's see. What do we got?
I would say exercise more would be number one.
Okay. All right, and make sure you play along with us at
I'm
home.
sorry.
Put in the chat
Well,
what you think.
see, lose weight or exercise would be. Lose weight, I think, would be number one. That's what I was thinking before you even put it up there. I'd say that was number one.
Okay.
Save more money. Number
always a
two,
good
I
thing.
would say. Spend more time with family and friends. I don't know. It depends on who they're asking. Get organized. Read more, exercise more, live life to the fullest. Learn a new skill. Quit smoking. People still smoke these days?
That's exactly what I said. When I looked at this list, I thought, I can't believe this is still a resolution for at least top 10. Like, I get people smoke, but I didn't think there was enough people that
Still
it's
smoking
in the
that-
top 10 that
if
need to
you're
quit.
If you're still smoking, I think they're not even worried about quitting by this point. That
I would
just
think
seems
so.
A little weird to me, but I would say travel would maybe be the last one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Well, I'm going to post the list here in the chat. Actually, I'm going to wait a minute because they're going to catch up, and I'm going to ruin it for them.
I didn't have a pen to write it down, so
Do you want a pen?
yeah, give me a pen. Let me.
All right, see if you can just
I
figure
can-
out.
I can- I
See if you
can-
can figure out the top 3. Okay, and you playing along at home, see if you can figure out your top 3, whatever you think those are. That's so good. I'm glad that worked. I had a slightly more than 50-50 confidence that button was going to work, and I had slightly less confidence that it would be big enough to read. So hopefully it's big enough to read for you at home, because I can read it here. But yes, so while you're doing that and while you're doing that at home, well, let's say a couple more things that are coming up. One, Equip, starting on the 22nd of January. If you've never taken Equip, you definitely should. It's a great way to find out more about Parkway, who we are, what we believe. You get to meet most of the staff. You get to meet all the staff if you come to a new friends party. That's always a good time. Plus, you get food. and in Equip, there's even food most nights. So definitely some good snacks. You get to hang out with Brother Glenn and Cassidy. It's always a great time. So Equip starts, it's a 6-week class. It starts on January the 22nd. So if you've never done that, make sure you jump into that. It's a good time. You can go to parkroanoke.com/equip to learn more about that. Also, men, we get to host for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years. We've been able to host the Men's Prayer Advance. It's not an event that Parkway puts on. It's just something that we get to host here.
It's a cool event.
It's a really cool event. I think there's the ticket sales, Steven said, they already had like 550 tickets sold for it, but that's coming up the 23rd through the 25th. If you contact, you can call the church office or you can email me, and I'll figure out how to get you in touch. But if you're interested, and I think Billy sent out some information on it, right?
Yeah, for the men's ministry.
Yeah, so if you're interested, get in touch with Billy, get in touch with one of us.
Shout out to the men's ministry.
Right? Hey, nice hat. Yeah, I like that. I need to get me one of those. So you can come to that. It's a great time. Man, I think we're going to hit probably 700 with that this year, I think. It's a big event.
Not surprising.
And I'll tell you, probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever been in is being in a room and maybe just being in church forever. Like, I've heard church people sing, but when you're in church and you don't even realize it, what you hear is you hear women sing, right? You hear a lot of women singing in church, right? And a lot of men, like, we're not all great singers, so we're not all like
not me, brother,
wanting to sing. Right?
I belt it out. It don't bother me if people get annoyed by it.
But this is probably the coolest thing is getting to hear that many men singing. Like, it's just the dudes. It's a great time. So I love being here for it. So if you're interested,
there's different churches that bring huge buses of men.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool thing.
They come from all over. It's pretty great. So all right, I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna go ahead and put the right one up there.
I went ahead and did the top 10.
Okay. All right. So what do you got? Let's see. What did you get as your top 10? Let's just do the top 3 because we don't have time. All right. What'd you put for 3?
Lose weight, save more money, live life to the fullest.
Lose weight is 1.
Yeah.
Wrong. Exercise more is number 1.
I was right the first time.
Number 2 is lose weight.
Okay. They go together.
And number 3 was get organized.
Really?
Right. And I'm thinking
I had that down at 6.
That's real broad.
I'm a very organized person, so I don't really think about that.
That doesn't surprise me.
Wow. Where did quit smoking fall?
Quit smoking was all the way down at number 7.
Okay. What was last then?
Last was read more.
Okay.
That's probably not that might be an indictment of our education system.
Hey, I did read a news article that Bible sales have increased like tremendously over the last year.
That's cool.
It is cool.
Take that.
And there was a religious podcast that overtook Joe Rogan as the #1 podcast
Really?
in America for the 3 straight days.
That's a tall order because Joe has like the biggest following of anybody on podcast. We're going to catch him one day, but not really. That's fantastic.
We got to find about 40 million people that just like a couple guys rambling on about nothing, and then,
I mean, isn't that what podcasting is? Come on. That's exactly what it is. Well, that had almost nothing to do with what we're doing today, other than, the fact that, it's New Year's, right? Everybody's made resolutions, and we didn't really make resolutions as a family this year.
Yeah.
Courtney and I have made them in the past, and we've done that, and that just didn't happen this year because, like you and I were talking earlier, like, I always fail them, right?
Yep.
And
never succeeded.
I've never completed one, so I didn't feel the need to just kind of push forward with it, right? So last year, I made one. It was it was really funny. Lindsay and I were doing the pre-show for the first Sunday of last year, and Lindsay and I were just joking about New Year's resolutions, and I just off the cuff just said, like, I'm gonna read 12 books this year, right? And I thought about it after I said that. I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. I should do that, right? I don't like to read, right? At least I didn't. And I haven't read anything probably all the way through since college. It's been lot of years. It's been a few years. And I started thinking, I was like, all right, I should try it.
Right.
Right? How hard could it be? Well, I didn't get there. Right? I didn't get to 12, but I got to 8.
That's awesome.
Right? So 8 books in 1 year versus 0 books
The
for the
previous
previous decade.
Maybe you should have just said read more.
Right. I could have just said read more. Right. That is not a smart goal. Come on. But the idea behind that was it's not necessarily, okay, I didn't reach my goal, right? But did I fail? Like I read, I don't know what percentage, but I went from 0 to reading 8.
Yeah.
Right. And over how many years? Like that's a victory. That's
It's a huge
success,
victory.
right? And the thing I think that people get so down about resolutions on is they, just like you and I are talking about, like you don't reach them. It's like, all right, well, that doesn't matter, right? And then you give up, right? If you want to work out more, or if you set a goal like I'm going to work out every day in January, and then you miss one day, it's like, oh well,
I failed.
Guess I failed. Guess I'm done.
But it's not
Get up and
failing.
go work
Yeah.
out the next day, right? When you quit, you failed, right? And I think a lot of times we feel that way as followers of Jesus, right? Because it turns out following Jesus is not an easy thing to do,
No.
right? And sometimes it's a frustrating thing to do. And I thought about my goal and not reaching it. I thought, well, all right, I should have gotten to 12, right? And I started thinking back and like, why didn't I? I was like, well, because I decided to watch TV
Right.
a whole lot more than decided to read. Like, I've got a stack of books. Like, there's no reason I couldn't have done it. But I know what I needed to change, right? And I started thinking about, this idea of progress and not perfection. Just because I didn't hit 12 doesn't mean that I failed, right? And the focus should be more on the progress that I made, right? And the thought was that's the same thing it should be in our Christian life, right? You're not going to be the perfect Christian, right? We're going to mess up. We're not going to reach all the spiritual goals that we want to every single time,
Right.
right? But the goal is progress. And there's this phrase that it gets stuck in my head. I get these phrases stuck in my head, and I don't know how many years ago I read this verse, but this phrase has been kind of stuck in my head, and every once in a while it comes back around. But it's from Ephesians 2, chapter 2. There's this whole long passage where Paul is writing to the church, and there's some division between Jews and Gentiles. And the Jews think they're better, and the Gentiles think they're better, and they're now in one church together, right? Like, good fun. And Paul is writing to try to build some unity in them, right? And he's making a point that hey, you're all believers, right? There's level ground. We're all under the blood of Jesus. All these things. We didn't have time to read that whole passage because we had to talk about wings for 30 minutes, but. But it's a great passage. You should read it. Ephesians 2 is great. The whole Bible's great. You should probably read it sometime. It's good stuff. But Ephesians 2, verse 22, this is where he picks up, and has this phrase in it that I really love. It says, "And in him," referring to Jesus, "you two are being built together to become a dwelling in which God lives by his Spirit." Now, he's writing to the church, right? He's talking to the church, talking about the church, right? That the church is being built together, and it's built of believers, people who follow Jesus, right? People, especially in this case, have huge diversity of backgrounds, right? And one major disagreement, right? I think that's probably the coolest thing about the church, right? Is you find people, especially in our day, like that disagree probably about a lot of things, but we agree on Jesus.
Yep.
Right. And we get to worship together. And this phrase that's always jumped out to me is that you two who are being built. Right. So it's not you two were built.
Yeah.
Right. It's are being built. Right. Now, I'm not a grammar nerd, not as much as I'd like to be. My wife, it's really fun when I get to correct my wife's grammar because she's an English teacher. It's really fun when she misspeaks, and I have a lot of fun with it. But most of the time, she corrects mine. But our being is active,
Yep.
Right? It's present and it's active. It's doing something right now. Something is happening still, right? It's a process that is being built.
Yep.
Right.
Whether you're a one-day believer or you're a 20-year believer, whether you're a whole life believer, you're still being built.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I feel like we talk about that a lot in the church, but I feel like so many Christians still feel like they're supposed to be perfect right out the gate and understand it. Like, no, every single one of us is in the process of being built up, right? And that's why I've always loved that phrase, because I thought about, I didn't hit this goal, right? I was short of it, right? By a decent margin. I was like 75% of the way there. Well,
a third.
66, yeah. 66.
You were a third short.
Yeah, I'll take a
You
third.
get three-quarters of the way there.
That's fine. Whatever. It's fine. We'll see how far I get this year. I don't know. I didn't set any resolutions this year, so we'll just see how many I read this year. But we talk about that a lot, but everybody still has that same idea of like, oh, I'm supposed to be this, perfect follower of Jesus, right? But it's a process. So just because I didn't hit that goal doesn't mean I failed. I mean, there's significant progress that I made. Like, one, I found out that I don't actually hate reading, right? I actually enjoy reading, and it turns out it's good for me. Like, maybe that's just part of getting old. Is that an old man thing?
I turned to reading a couple of years ago. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just to get off the senseless wormhole that is these things.
Doing this. Yeah, my thumb was starting to get sore.
I don't have social media, so I don't scroll social media, but I look up something, and then it causes me to look something else up, and I'm just sitting here staring at this screen for hours on end.
And you learn something. Yeah, I think the coolest thing was reading Chris Kyle's book, American Sniper.
Yeah.
Holy goodness.
I've read it.
Man.
Great book.
Look, if you want to know who the toughest dudes in the world are, it's Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
100%. Right? No shade on anybody. Plenty of tough dudes out there, right? And I'm willing to be wrong.
Got a whole collection of those books.
Dude, Navy SEAls are some bad dudes.
I don't find myself liking fiction books.
Yeah.
And even some nonfiction books, I'll see stuff and I'm like, oh, that seems pretty interesting. And if it don't catch my attention in the first couple chapters, I'll put it on the bookshelf and go get a different one.
Right.
Yeah. But typically the books I read, I get done in a week or less, just because they, strike my interest so much.
A week or less?
There was one by what's the My Pillow guy's name? Why can't I remember his
Mike
name?
Lindell.
Mike Lindell.
Yeah, you got to remember.
Mike Lindell wrote a book, and I read it in 2 days. It was just, I couldn't put it down. It was fascinating, some of the stuff he did. Like, he's a former drug addict.
Oh, wow.
And now he's a huge believer in God, right?
Yeah.
And there was one day that he was going to skydive, right? And he was driving his motorcycle to skydive. He wrecked his motorcycle into a tree and walked away. And his buddies picked him up, and they still went skydiving. And during skydiving, same day, his chute didn't open completely, and he hit the ground and walked away from it. All in the same day. Wrapped his motorcycle around a tree, and his chute didn't open up completely.
All right, I might have to read that book.
Very,
that
very interesting.
Wow. And if that doesn't make you turn to God.
That book is definitely something that can say, for one of those type of people that say, God doesn't know what I've done.
Yeah. He'll
never accept me. Read Mike Lindell's book. Because if God can accept, somebody like him in modern day times, then, I mean, it's fascinating. 2 days.
Well, I think that's so cool, because I think that's just evidence of God pursues us, right? I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, right? God is pursuing you. And it's so funny. Try this little exercise with me. Think back to a time before you met Jesus, right? So think back before you met Jesus.
Your BC days.
Right.
That's what I call
BC days. I like that.
Before
Right.
Christ.
And you will find, if you look hard enough, you will find things that were leading you towards Jesus the whole time. You'll find people,
100%.
there'll be
Yep.
events, like people will have invited you to things.
Yep.
People will have come across your path who are believers, right? There'll be little things and little steps all along the way that were moving you closer to Jesus. right?
Absolutely.
And it's so cool when you look back and see all of those things. You see all the time that God was pursuing you, right? It's not just like, oh, you found God. It's like, I mean, I was kind of nudging you here the whole time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially like, man, a parachute not opening and running your motorcycle into a tree. Like,
It's, I mean,
I'm glad God didn't have to use those kind of wake-up calls on me.
no kidding. No kidding.
That's like blinding Damascus Road for Paul kind of experience. Like, I mean,
It's a fascinating. I think I still have it. I may have donated it to the church. I don't remember which, but I'll look. If I have it, I'll give it to you.
I might
It's
have to read that.
fascinating.
That'd be fun.
Very fascinating.
Yeah. One more verse I want to share with us before we close this up. And this is the verse I wanted to leave us with. This was actually, so I went to a little Christian school. So every high school has, every senior class, you got to have a senior class quote or something like that, right? Or a motto. Well, so since we were a Christian school, we had to adopt a class verse, right? So I have a T-shirt. That one still fits, by the way. It's a long sleeve T-shirt that still fits. 20 years, 19 years.
Did you
Not
buy
quite
big?
20 years. No.
Okay.
No.
I know back in our younger day, because we're about the same age. Back in our younger days, like the baggier clothes and stuff was
And I
cooler
wasn't that
back
cool.
then.
I wasn't that
So,
cool. But
Okay.
It shockingly still fits. It's a little tight. But
Not
it
a
still
chance.
fits.
A shirt from high school fits me. Not a chance.
So I have this shirt, I have this verse on this shirt. It's Philippians 1:6. Do you want to
great
read
verse.
that while I take a drink of water?
Philippians 1:6. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus.
That's just a good verse,
It is a great verse.
right? That's a good one. I had to memorize it in King James. so
Probably could have done it without looking at it,
it's a good one.
maybe.
If I had done it without looking at it, it would have come out all King James. So
Yeah.
I figured it better to have you read it. a little
Thy
safer.
shall not.
Right. The thing I love about that is, like we talked about, following Jesus is a process, right? And I think the misconception about following Jesus is we do all of the work to make us become more like Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. That we do all of these things, like we read our Bible and we pray, and that makes us more like Jesus. Well, kinda. Right. That's kind of, sort of, right? The way you become more like Jesus is you get close to Jesus and he makes you more like him. Right. There's it's kind of twofold. One, it's our job to create great spice. I got a little southern every second. It's our job to create space and invite him to work.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So there's our part. We have our part, but we don't do the work to become more like Jesus. We have nothing in us that can make us become more like Jesus.
I've kind of equated to this like with my kids before. So you take Peyton Manning, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest, or Tom Brady, one of the greatest couple of quarterbacks to ever play, right? So you can read a playbook,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can know defenses and you can know your offense, right? Does that make you a good quarterback? It might make you a knowledgeable quarterback on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Bible. You can read the Bible and you can get knowledge in the Bible, but does that make you a proficient Christian? No, you've got to go out and implement those things. Like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, those guys go out and they implement those playbooks and they put them to practice. And guess what? They'll see it and they'll fail.
Yeah.
And they'll learn from that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll fail again and they'll learn from that mistake.
Yeah.
But that's what made them kind of great quarterbacks. And, it's those implementing those things that can make us really good Christians.
Yeah.
So
I want to know. I'm curious how many people just got triggered because you said Tom Brady.
I don't know. It's hard to argue that. He's got, 6, 7 Super Bowl rings, whatever it is. 6 with New England, 1 with Tampa Bay. I mean,
he's got more than Mahomes, and that's
Yeah.
all that matters.
So-
Actually, the only thing that matters is
It's-
where he graduated school. graduated college at, University of Michigan.
Yeah,
May or may not have something to do
the
with
cool
his
thing
great
is, I
success.
thought about you on my trip to Michigan. We went through Columbus, and we got to see the Ohio State University, and everywhere around there says the Ohio State.
They're very proud of that.
It's weird, very weird. And we went through Ann Arbor and saw the big house. So it's
That's
pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
All on the same day.
I will say, as much as I hate Ohio State, the Horseshoe is a pretty cool looking stadium. It's pretty cool when you drive past it.
It is.
It's
a neat
pretty
stadium.
cool looking. All my years I lived in Michigan, I never actually got to go to the big house.
Really?
Never actually been there. One of my goals one day. That should be a New Year's resolution. I
Go
should do that. Go to the big house.
Sorry, Courtney.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she'd go. That's all right. I'd take one of my kids that is currently a big fan of Michigan. We'll see. They keep flip flopping.
But
That's all right.
The cool thing is, back to it, like, we have this awesome playbook
Yeah.
that has stood the test of time.
Mm.
You know, it's people have been out there for thousands of years trying to say, it's not real and it's just a made up story, and it's stood the test of time.
Yeah.
And we have this beautiful playbook that to me, it's not just enough to just read it, to implement it in your daily lives.
Yeah.
And not to say that you won't mess up, throw an interception or fumble the ball or, things like that, but we just need to keep moving forward,
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that's the thing that we need to focus on, especially in the beginning of the year. Like, if you got things that you want to change about your spiritual walk this year, good. Like, you probably should. Doesn't matter who you are. Like, there are things that you need to improve on, right? Every single one of us. But don't get discouraged. If you're planning to read your Bible every day and you miss a day, jump in the next day, right?
Yeah.
Just pick up right where you left off. If you mean to get up every morning at 7 a.m. and pray, and you miss a day, man, don't get discouraged. Just get up the next day, right? And set 2 alarms instead of 1 or something.
I mean, even if you have a crazy week, crazy couple of weeks, and it just didn't happen, and you're like, man, I didn't even realize, but I missed a whole week of getting up and praying.
Right.
Jump right back into it.
Yeah.
Jump right back into it.
Yeah. Don't be discouraged. I mean, just like that verse we read, he who began a good work in you, right? He saved you. You didn't do it on your own, right? He who was there, at your darkest moment, right? Anything good he started in you, he's going to complete it, right? God doesn't just do something good in you and be like, hey, have fun. See ya. Hope that goes well for you. Let me know how it turns out. So here's where I want to leave us. Like I said, we've all got a next step. We've all got something that we need to improve on, and maybe it is a resolution that you want to set, but something you want to improve in. But the question I want us to think about this way is, what daily step can you implement to bring you closer to Jesus? Right? What's something daily? And it could be something simple. And I'll give you a hint, it probably is simple, because the most impactful things tend to be the simplest, most obvious things, right?
What's that acronym? KISS?
Yeah. I mean, that's a little aggressive.
Keep it simple.
Sailor.
Sailor. Student.
Oh, that's a good one.
Keep it simple, student.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like
of
that.
Christ.
Well, I think you got to add a couple more letters if we go that route. But that's all right. We'll let that go.
Yeah. That's for a different show. That's next week.
We could put that on a T-shirt. We could just add the OCers right on, a little bit on the end. Have Casey get working on that for us. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us for another week of Midweek Motivation. It's good to be back in 2025.
It is.
I wasn't going to do a show on New Year's Day, and I wasn't going to do a show on Christmas. But, I miss being here.
Me too.
So I'm glad we're back.
too.
I miss seeing you.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back.
Time should be lightening up for me a little bit, hopefully.
Hopefully we'll get to see more of you.
We're through election season and holiday season and all that kind of stuff. So
I love it.
Be as busy. So
Well, it's good to see all of you. Thanks for joining us so much. And we'll see you next week. Have a great week and stay motivated.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek.